Ready?
I'm so ready.
Okay. Are you ready?
Are you ready?
Okay. Hello, everyone. Andrew and Keleigh here. Well, it's 2020. But let's not talk about that. Let's talk about 2019. Let's live in the past. In the past, 2019 specifically, my sister and I watched a metric lot of movies.
And I'm like, it wasn't as much as I feel. I feel like we did better in 2018. I'm positive I did better, and I don't remember the counts.
I'm pretty sure I watched more last year than I did in 2018.
Oh, I definitely am down.
So, I watched 101 movies, 20 of which were in the theater, 36 TV shows, although I think 15 of them were only one episode, mostly, debut review stuff, 12 shorts, and 5 documentaries, for a total of 154 different things.
Right. And some of those you've seen before.
13 of them were movies that I rewatched for one reason or another.
So, for first time only, because that's what I count.
Okay.
I watched 50 movies in the theater. I watched 56 movies at home. Mm-hmm. And then TV events / TV shows, 10. For a grand total of 116.
So we actually saw nearly the same amount of movies. You just saw more in the theater.
I see more in the theater. I did not make one movie a week. I was almost
quite.
there.
Pretty close.
Pretty close. 50 in the theater, 56 at home. And then 10 events / shows on television.
Yeah.
All right.
And video games don't count for this list. I put that out on what games I played on Twitter, but I'll probably have a video about that later. So in this video, we are going to talk about the 3 things we watched, be it movie, TV show, or short, or documentary, or whatever. 3 things we watched last year. I think I just said this year, but last year in 2019.
You said this year we're going to talk about.
This year we're going to talk about the 3 movies, TV shows, whatever, that stood out to us the most in 2019. And it could not necessarily the best things we saw in 2019, just the 3 things that stood out to us the most for whatever reason.
Right.
Now, my last one is hard for me to talk about without spoiling the darn thing, so I'd like to put that one at the very end, so you go first.
Great. Plus, it's a good thing for me to go first due to the fact that we both are very well aware of what I'm going to talk about. Because I've been talking about it since I saw it this summer, and that would be Midsommar. Holy crap. So, first off, we didn't say this, but we should. Spoiler alert. Granted, these are things from 2019, and so... But it's still within a year, so I give people a year to watch.
Yeah, I'll put a timestamp to each of the things in the description, so if we start talking about something that you want to watch but don't want spoiled, go into the comments section, or not the comments, the video description, and I'll jump to the next segment.
Sure. Okay, so spoiler alert, there it is for the whole video. Midsommar. So, yes, I realize that there are some very big glaring problems with this movie, and I get that. And in my head, I've rectified them.
Her name is Florence.
No, she's not a problem at all. I am, obsessed with her now. But anyways, so I've rectified all the problems in my head, and so I'm fine with it. However, and I haven't seen the director's cut. This is a movie that I would love to, when it comes available, I'm positive that Ari Aster has things that he has to say, and that there's extended cuts. Anyways, I'm obsessed with the movie. I saw it more than once in the theater, in fact, but I still only counted it as 50 trips to the theater because it was just one movie. But I did see that one. I saw that one multiple times in the theater, and it was my introduction to Florence Pugh, and she is phenomenal. I'm obsessed with her. She immediately is on a list of, if she's in it, I want to go see it. Brilliant. I went down a rabbit hole of YouTube videos of her, but let me talk to you about why I'm actually obsessed with this movie.
I think Black Widow will be the first movie I've seen her in. I don't think I've seen her in anything. I didn't see Midsommar. I didn't see...
I need to go back. I need to go back and get Lady Macbeth and all of those things that she's been in, just kind of do a Florence Pugh
her
moment.
Friends call her Flo.
I hope not.
But she keeps insisting on me calling her Florence.
We had a grandmother named Florence. It's not the greatest name, but
but we just called her Grandma instead of Florence.
Right? Yeah. No, that's true. We did. So let me tell you why I'm obsessed with this movie. I'm obsessed with
God,
this
her other
movie
grandmother
because
was Doris.
we've had
Why are
terrible.
grandparents'
They're
names so
terrible.
bad?
It's just so bad. Like Doris.
Marvin.
Like
Marvin's not terrible.
we're only missing like
Carl's
a Ruth.
okay.
If there was like a Ruth somewhere,
Didn't we have a
I don't
Aunt
know.
Ruth or
I
something?
don't know, but I'm sure that it was.
We gotta have a Ruth somewhere.
I'm sure somewhere. It's terrible.
And
There's
at what
a reason.
point she was a baby?
Oh, Hannah Montana. Can I please talk about my show? I know
Please,
you're not interested because you've heard about it over ad nauseum from me. Because I'm
She's
like,
been talking
I'm
about it
always
since
like,
the summer.
have you seen it?
She's been talking about it since
Midsummer.
midsummer.
Anyways, here's why I'm obsessed with it. Your timestamp is going to be like, she starts talking about Midsummer.
30
she
minutes
doesn't
later.
start talking about it till here. So enjoy the banter. I've never seen anything like it. And the thing that I think is very interesting is it's one of those movies that, and I'm sure we've all seen movies like this, that you're watching, you don't know what's happening. You don't fully get it, even though it's unsettling. You know it's bad. You know that things are happening. You know it's unsettling. You know that, girl should run out of there. Like, this is a definite. I mean, granted, if you walked into like
Lady,
a
just
field,
leave.
yeah.
Just go home.
If you walked into a field, like I literally would. I've been in this world
Like,
long enough. I
nope.
walk into a field with people like
I'm out.
dancing around in circles in white dresses. I'm like, nice. I'm out. Like, nope.
I
You
love
know,
it.
I'd be out.
Occasionally, you'll see there will be a smart character in the horror film who's like, you know what? No, I'm gone. I just saw a movie, The Taking of Deborah Logan.
Okay.
I think it's called. It's about a. You remember the legend? Behind the Mask, the legend.
Yes.
of Leslie
I
Vernon.
love that one. We saw that in the theater together.
So it's a college kid's doing a documentary of a woman with Alzheimer's, and it turns out not to be Alzheimer's. She's like possessed by a serial killer or something like that. But one of the crew is like, nope. No, I'm leaving. Bye.
And like
he leaves and he exits the movie and he survives. You never see him again. He just leaves.
Good for him.
It's like
good for him.
The smart character in a horror movie.
So
love it when that happens.
Moreover, so there's many warning signs. Go. But it's also one of those movies that as you're watching it as an audience member, you really are in your head. You're saying to yourself, "Oh, the ending better be. The ending better justify." Because it hasn't told you exactly what's happening, It's like leaving like trickles and stuff. And then you, in your head, oh my shoulders are really high. And then in your head, and then you're like, that ending better be so good. And here's the thing, the ending is so good. And not just I'm talking about the ending, I'm talking like the last 6 seconds of the movie are like, I was watching it, I remember the first time I watched it, and I was just like, this is so crazy and things are happening, and I'm sure that like my jaw was on the floor throughout the whole thing, and I was like, oh my gosh, and then that ending, and if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about, when she looks at the camera and it's the last 6 seconds, and I'm like, oh my god, and it's just like flooding, but like they're crying together, and it's just as you start understanding what's happening and as you start unwrapping the pieces, you're like, they're crying with her, and then, oh, that makes sense why they're crying with her, and that makes sense why they're orgasming with this one, and that makes sense why they're doing, like, it's just such I can't get over it. And then I went again, and loved it again, and continued to find more that, like, really supported my love for it. And the good thing about this movie, at least, is that the more I watch it, the parts that are glaringly problematic for me don't ever increase. They're the exact same ones that I had from the beginning. They haven't like been compounded. Like, as you watch movies, like sometimes more and more plot holes reveal themselves, and you're like, oh, it's just, I should have just,
that didn't
the
bother
novelty,
me the first time I watched
now,
it, but,
so like the novelty has worn out.
Yeah.
So the things that upset me, like with the whole 90 years thing, and I'm like, you guys, like all the previews and everything say 90 years, and something said 90 years, and yet you have a May Queen from every year. That is odd. And how did Pelé's parents die in a fire? Pelé's not that old. So was he talking about this specific fire, or was it like, it's that whole 90-year thing, I'm like, how has your culture survived? So it's like that with the amount of May Queens, and again, if you've seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Pele's parents dying in the fire, the amount of May Queens that they have pictures of, and then the fact that they specifically say it happens 90 years. That does not. If you have seen it or you've, had a conversation or coffee with Ari Aster, like leave me a comment and say, here's, because I in my mind have fixed it to make it okay. But yeah, Midsommar. It is the best thing. Actually, that isn't true. The third thing I'm going to talk about is the best thing I saw all year.
Okay.
However, once I get to the third thing, you guys will roll your eyes and you'll be like, okay, fine. The first thing, Midsommar, is the best thing she saw all year. So there you go.
All right. So the first thing I'd like to talk about is I got Disney Plus this year, so I could do the debut review for The Mandalorian, and so I could watch The Mandalorian with Baby Yoda, starring Baby Yoda. And I'm in season 2. Baby Yoda is going to become a Mandalorian. It is the way. Yes, and I'm wondering, is he going to have a little helmet with cutouts for his big ears?
Absolutely, yes.
Or is it going to have like a big wide helmet?
No,
so yours,
cutouts. It's got to be. I don't know. It has to be a cutout.
Or are they going to be
God.
bent down?
But the thing is I don't want him to be. I don't want him to find the way just yet because I can't. Like my ovaries hurt looking at Baby Yoda, and like I don't have any interest in bearing children, and I'm never going to. That's Yoda. Fine. But like
Baby Yoda ruined children.
I did. No, I did. I actually told him. I said. I was like,
we're not having children now. They can't live up to Baby Yoda.
I basically was like, I don't think that you have the genetic materials to create a baby. You and me to create a Baby Yoda.
I'm fairly certain you don't.
So, yeah,
but
I wish I had.
I'm not talking about The Mandalorian.
No, he's not. I am.
I liked the show, but so I bought so I could Disney Plus, so I could watch the various Marvel stuff like WandaVision and the Winter Soldier and Falcon shows that'll be coming later in the year.
Yeah.
But I also watched a few documentaries, the Imagineering documentary, and some of the early Mickey Mouse cartoons that I had not seen. And Steamboat Willie. I've long known of Steamboat Willie. Heck, the him whistling as he drives a steamboat is part of one of the Disney production company logos.
Yeah.
So I was familiar with Steamboat Willie, but I'd never seen it. And it was on Disney Plus, and that short, along with several other of Disney's older things, has a disclaimer on it that says, this is old, there may be some, racist stuff in here.
Oh,
so viewer discretion is advised. But this has not been altered. It's as originally intended. But just be warned, it's old.
Oh, that's neat. That's
we might have
cool
done a racism.
We might have done a racism.
We might have done a racism. So good. That is exactly how you do it, Disney. Well done.
Yeah, that's actually really thoughtful.
Although I hear that you've screwed up the formatting for a lot of the early Simpsons episodes. That is not how you do it. I don't know what the details were. I think
I don't know.
I think they the first 15 seasons of the show or whatever were 4:3.
Okay.
But they're cropping them to widescreen. I think that's what they're doing. Which don't do that. That is the incorrect thing to do, Disney.
Yeah.
Always do the right thing. Always. Anyway, so Steamboat Willie. Mm-hmm. One of the 3 things that stuck out most to me last year, and it's only 7 or 8 minutes long. It's the first. It's widely considered the first Mickey Mouse cartoon, although the character had been seen before. But it's definitely the first. I think it's the first Disney cartoon with synchronized sound. And total cool. Post-production sound, rather than they play a cartoon and someone's there playing along with it.
Right.
This one had a post-produced soundtrack.
That's cool.
If you've never seen Steamboat Willie, wow, is it a trip. It is.
I need to see it, especially when you say that it's only 7 minutes long.
Yeah, it is.
I think I have time.
Man alive, it is the oddest damn thing. It is surreal.
Does it have a story?
Not really. It's mostly just things happen in a location for 7 or 8 minutes.
That's awesome.
There isn't really a narrative. It's just these things happen, and that's the end of the cartoon. There is one setup and payoff that's just weird. In the very beginning, so it starts out with the thing we've all seen, the production logo, with Mickey whistling and driving the steamboat. And then Pete comes in and yells at him, go peel potatoes. And so he goes and peels potatoes, and then there's a parrot in a porthole laughing at him. And Mickey, like, chucks a bucket at him. And the bird...
Ooh, dude.
I'm like, jeez, Mickey.
Right.
It's interesting how Mickey's character has evolved over the years. I've actually watched several of the early Mickey Mouse shorts, and it's really fascinating to see. He went from almost a Bugs Bunny-esque, real trickster kind of character into the more just nice everyman. He almost traded places personality-wise with like Donald Duck.
Interesting.
You know. So it's really interesting. But Steamboat Willie, so he throws a bucket at a parrot at the very beginning. Then we have the main action of the cartoon. And then he goes back in the potato room or something like that, and the parrot comes back to laugh at him. And it's like, oh, see, because we set that up earlier. So what? It's the weirdest thing. So the bulk of the short is he picks up Minnie Mouse, literally, with a cargo crane on the back of the ship, because she misses...
Overboard?
No, she's like, they pull into a dock, and then they pull out, and she's like, oh, wait for me.
Oh, one of those, I missed the boat.
And he's like, oh no, I'll use the cargo crane. He grabs her by the seat of her pants and pulls her onto the boat. And she has like a ukulele or a violin or something and some sheet music for Turkey in the Straw, I think it's called.
Oh, I don't think I've ever known
that song.
The name of that song.
I think I've got the right song. Anyway, one of those, and a goat eats it because there's
goats
a
if I've learned anything from cartoons, goats eat sheet
suddenly
music.
there's a goat on this steamboat. Don't know who Willie is, because that's Mickey Mouse. That's Pete. That's Minnie Mouse.
Is it the name of the steamboat? You know how, like,
maybe the steamboat's named Willie. Yeah, it might be written on the side. I don't know. So, he's like, aha, this damn goat ate Minnie's music, so instead we will grab the goat, we will open its face, its mouth, and we will turn its tail like this, and then it plays it like a phonograph or something like that. And the comes out of and they're in that late 20s bouncy style. And then the bulk of the cartoon is Mickey Mouse running around the boat to all the animals that are on this boat. Cats, geese, ducks, pigs, cows.
So it's the
suddenly there's just a barn on this boat. And he goes to each of these animals in turn and plays them like instruments. And it starts out fairly benign. I think we've all seen a clip where the cow opens its mouth and he like plays its teeth like
xylophone. That's in that.
That's from that.
I've seen it with like a hippopotamus as well.
Oh,
like
it may be a hippo.
As it continues.
Yeah,
in
it may be a hippo. I don't know
Disney
if it's a cow or what it was, but a big mammal that opens its large herbivore flat teeth and plays it like a xylophone. And it starts out with a washboard, and then this like goose walks by and grabs the goose, and he starts playing it like a bagpipe. I'm like, oh, that looks a little painful.
This is so weird.
The goose seems kind of into it, like the cow was kind of into it. And then this cat's walking by, and he grabs the cat by the tail and starts swinging it. I'm like, oh my God, Mickey, what are you doing? I'm like, no, what the hell? And then there's this mama pig with her little piglets nursing on her.
I can't.
And he grabs the mama pig, and the little piglets are still, latch onto her teats. So he like shakes them off. Get off. And there's one left, and he kicks the little baby pig to get it off of its mom. And then he turns the mama pig upside down and plays her like an accordion. And the mama pig seems kind of fine with it, but he did kick a nursing baby pig in the face.
He's just as bad as that stormtrooper who hit Baby Yoda.
Oh my God, it is so surreal.
That's so weird.
It is
Yeah, animal cruelty.
And I think that's probably... I didn't notice any racism.
Sure.
Although maybe Turkey in the Straw, that song, has like roots in minstrel shows or something like that. I honestly don't know. But that warning may have just been for scenes of genuine animal cruelty. Yeah, there are ways to do the... because if the animal looks like it's grooving... Like, the cow that opens its mouth and gets its teeth played like xylophone. I mean, it seems to be rocking on with that. But the cat doesn't seem to be having a good time.
No.
The nursing piglet he kicked in the face didn't seem to want his boot. So,
that's so weird.
It is it is so surreal. And it's not bad. I actually enjoyed it. Because it's just, especially if you're into, animation history and stuff.
Absolutely.
It is an utterly fascinating watch.
Absolutely.
Just from a historical animation perspective, from how Mickey's individual character has evolved.
I would find that fascinating
perspective,
too. And
the short itself is just genuinely surreal. So well worth a watch if you can spare 8 minutes.
However
much Disney Plus costs. So, Steamboat Willie. That's one that stuck out to me this year.
All right.
Next.
Yes, so, I did a lot of watching of shows here at home, either streaming and in TV events. And if you read the list, you can see there was a theme of 2019 of catching up on all the Marvel movies.
I noticed that
because
list.
Because Endgame... was there, and I wanted to catch up on all of them. And then I watched just some movie, but what I'm going to talk about, of the things that I watched at home that really stood out to me, I watched Queer Eye, the new Queer Eye. And I've watched, so I started it, and I watched the first 3 seasons, and I haven't seen season 4. I can't wait to see season 4. It's just, I haven't gotten around to it. I know it's been out for a wee bit. So I saw the first 3 seasons, and I recall... Back in the we watched. So I watched the original Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, which was called. Now it's just called Queer Eye, and I'll tell you the difference. So Queer Eye for the Straight Guy is what we've seen some episodes. We didn't watch it.
Sure,
I was at a Queer Eye party when I lived in New York. I went to some parties and stuff.
They help not just straight
and that's what's so the difference of that was that it was taking a straight guy, and it was basically making a statement about like straight men need gay men help. Now we have...
I have to wash what?
Sure. My face? No. So now it's called Queer Eye, and so they still have like the same idea of like these 5 queer gentlemen. Mm-hmm. I don't even want to call them gay because I don't think that's how they all...
Any of the original cast, or they all new?
No, they are all new, but it's the same. You have the fashion person, you have the culture person, you have the food person, you have the design person.
So the same expertise, just different cast. Okay.
Yeah, so the same expertise, different cast, and they go around and it's for anybody who needs like just help, and so they have assisted heterosexual men, they've assisted women, they've assisted different gender altogether. They've assisted different orientations, and just like it's a very big mixture. They assisted 2 sisters, so it's like both in the same episode. So they've done a lot, and it's such a different, like it's a super genuine show too. Like it's actually it's about liking yourself and liking others and understanding and just the different things. Like one of the people that they helped was a policeman, and the culture guy is African American, and he was saying that when they first saw him, he was like, oh, this is going to be a hard one for me, just because of my person. And so it shares things with you as an audience, and he even talks to him, like he sits down with the guy that they're making over, and he tells him about his like experience. Here's my experience and here's why. And then the policeman guy was like responds to him, and so it's just like, I know that there's things now about talking about...
It's not about me.
The Great British Baking Show, people always say there's like the only thing on television that you can watch that is like just this genuine, like no one, it's just, there's nothing about it that can make you like angry or sad. And like Queer Eye, I find to be like that other, like I think it's a show that we need right now.
I like Rage Quit Marie Kondo.
Right. But that's the thing, like it's a show that we need right now. It's a show that, and I was, one of the reasons I didn't start it when it started is because I was like, are they going, and I liked the original Queer Eye. I want to be very clear that the Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, I liked it, I watched it, I was a big fan of it, but it was also like 10, 15 or so years ago. Time is so, I don't get it. I forget that I'm as old as I am. So but it worked in that time, but to bring it back now, I was like, oh God, are they just going to make it, these stereotypes? And it's so not, and it's just so genuine and it's so beautiful. And even for someone like me who I am very, like that community means everything to me. And that's like the thing that I find that like, I'm the one that if people have questions and I'm like, I'm the one that you should come to when you have questions about like, people of different orientations and different, thoughts and this and pronouns and whatnot. Talk to me about it. And then even this show, I was like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, I wouldn't have, so like, and then I have so much to learn. And that's the thing is like, I'm not so high and mighty to think that I didn't have more to learn. Mm-hmm. I have more to learn all the time. And you and I talk on the phone sometimes about of like, oh my gosh, I did this today. And I thought, oh my God, I never thought I would do something like that. And like, to me, it was this huge deal, and so. Queer Eye,
that was your NB friend in the bathroom?
Yeah, in the whole bathroom situation. But it was just one of those things that so Queer Eye, but it's beautiful. Like, you should watch some of it. Like, okay. But they do everything.
Is it on Netflix? Or?
It is, it's a Netflix show. And season 4 just came out. And the interesting thing about it is they go to a city, and like the entire season takes place like in and around, so they're like, so they go to
season 1 is Indianapolis,
and the thing is, one of them I think is Atlanta, so it's like or somewhere near like very Georgia. So like they take some southern, very red, very they put themselves in interesting situations, being like, because it's about changing and making people realize that individuals are individuals. Mm-hmm. So. It's so good.
Cool. All right, so what are we on? Second thing, from 2019 that stuck out the most to me. So a couple months ago, I found myself in the mood for a good old heist movie. So, as it happened...
And there are some great ones.
There are some great ones, right. As it happened, I subscribed to the Criterion channel. Actually, I bought that for us for your birthday. And that week, like I think the same day I found myself in the mood for a heist movie, Criterion Channel says, hey, we just got a lot of heist movies. Yay! Like Italian Job and Rafifi and 12 others. I'm like, great! So I went home and I browsed it and I picked The Italian Job. It's a movie, it's that Michael Caine movie from the 70s, I think. You've probably seen images or video, at least, of the 3 colorful Mini Coopers that go on car chases. That's mainly what the film is known for, is the Mini Cooper chase that is pretty much Act 3 of the film. So I was excited to see this. I'd never seen it before. I did not see the early 2000s remake. I watched it, and it is... definitely the worst movie I saw in 2019, but quite possibly the worst movie I have ever seen.
And that's tough.
Discounting the obvious, student film, just incompetent garbage kind of films. Sure. But quite possibly like the worst theatrically released film I've ever seen. League of Extraordinary Gentlemen's up there, but
Nothing But Trouble has to be up there. And
you know, I'd be interested in watching that again as an adult because I know I hated it as a kid, but
and for me, Eraserhead is up there.
I've never seen that.
Don't need to.
But anyway, Italian Job sticks out to me because oh my god, I was not expecting it to be just mind-bogglingly terrible by every conceivable metric. Now, I will say that there are a lot of really great car stunts and chase sequences, and the colorful Mini Coopers are really cool and fun to watch, driving around in interesting locations. The problem is they only work as really nifty individual scenes. There's no cohesive narrative through line that ties the whole thing together. If you've ever seen the Blues Brothers, the last act of the movie is essentially a car chase back to Chicago from their little concert that's raising money so that they can keep the orphanage open. The reason that works, beyond just, oh, it's neat to see cars crashing over and over, and it is, but the reason it works is because they set up exactly what they're doing. You know, it's like it's 135 miles to Chicago, we've got a tank full of gas, half pack of cigarettes, it's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. And it's like, okay, we've got to drive 100 and some miles to Chicago, we have to be there by this time to deliver the money so that the orphanage stays open. There's our stakes. We know exactly where we're going and why we're going there. All right. Now, it starts out like between cities, so it starts out in the dark, and then it gets lighter, so you can gauge the passage of time. Sure. They tell you exactly how far they have to go, like 138 miles, something like that.
Okay.
But Chicago's a very recognizable area, so once they move from freeway between cities to Chicago, there's a visual progression from dark to light to rural to city that you can get a sense of where they are and how close they are to their destination. Yeah. When they're not in the city, you're like, oh, well, they've got a ways to go. When there's the driving under the L train, they're like, well, they're in the middle
there they
of
are.
Chicago.
They're so close.
They're near.
Yeah.
That's why that works. It's also a great movie. In The Italian Job, the plot of the movie is we're going to steal gold from a country. So they break into a bank, they take the gold, they put it in the back of the Mini Coopers, and they drive away. They need to escape, but you don't know where they need to escape to, how far it is, how they plan to get there, where they are now, how close they are. Are they far? Are they near? Are they in trouble? Is it all going to plan? Or are they just making it up as they go along? You never know. The movie genuinely feels like they just had these 3 cool Mini Coopers and they just shot a bunch of scenes and then hired Michael Caine and built a movie around it.
Yeah, you were talking to me about it when we discussed it, and you were saying, like, I never know where they are in relation to each other.
Yeah.
Where they are in relation to those chasing them. Mm-hmm. Like, there's absolutely no... So it makes it so that there's absolutely no stakes. They can go... If you go around a corner really fast and really cool, it doesn't mean anything unless you know that, like, 2 seconds behind you, the cop is making that same turn. Like, there's no... You're just kind of like, well, I'm watching a stunt. It's a stunt show.
Every segment of that chase scene, there's one cop car chasing them. And they do something to lose the cop car. Either they get it to fly off a cliff or into a river or strand it somewhere. But
so
it's
then
really,
a new cop car comes up? But if he goes in the river, you don't recover from that.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a new cop car. They're never chased by, like... It's like they had the 3 Mini Coopers and 1 cop car. You know, because they could never have more than one on screen at the same time. Comparing it to Blues Brothers, they're always chased by a bunch of cop cars.
Well, yeah.
And then they all crash.
And then they all have to pile up.
There's a scene where they drive up onto the roof of a giant building. I don't know what building that is, but it's a big building. And they drive up the side onto the roof. And it's like, well, I didn't know the cars could do that. That's kind of neat. Why did they drive up onto the building? And the cop car follows him up. And he gets stuck up there for reasons. He just kind of gives up. I don't know why. And then they turn around and they drive back down. It's like, was that part of the plan? man. I mean, it's kind of neat seeing these things race up the side of a building and then
Right.
back down. That's a neat stunt, but I don't understand why they did that.
Yeah.
Or again, where they are, where they're going, how close they are. I don't know. So that's certainly a problem. But everything else in the movie is a problem. The characters are not likable. None of the jokes work. Literally, none of the humor worked for me. It was all just awful. Benny Hill is in this movie.
Yeah, I remember you told me that.
As a gentleman who is hopelessly attracted to large women. And what that means is anytime he sees a large woman, he grabs her butt.
As a large woman, that's not okay.
That is not okay. So
Yes.
I think he gets arrested, but it doesn't matter because he gets arrested like after he does the one thing that they brought him on to do. So,
for the heist, yeah.
For the heist? Yeah, I mean, he's like the computer guy.
Sure.
And he goes in and does the computer thing, and then he chases some woman onto a bus and grabs her butt, and I think he gets arrested. And it's like, well, good, but you kind of figure it's like, oh no, Danny Ocean, we have a problem. Our computer guy just got arrested for grabbing a woman's butt, and he didn't do his thing. What do we do now? Tension. No, he did his thing. He just goes to jail or something. Or he just leaves the movie. No one ever mentions him again either.
Oh.
I don't know if Benny Hill was just like inserted into the movie later.
Because
no one knew he was in the
he was
movie.
a name?
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
my
there
goodness.
is a scene with Michael Caine and him, but it's weird. He just leaves the movie and no one mentions him again.
That could very well be. That would be interesting.
This movie ends on a literal cliffhanger. So they get all the gold and they're on a bus and they spin out and the bus is teetering on the edge of a cliff. And exactly like I was thinking at the end of Dante's Peak, where the helicopter flies off into the distance, I was like, you know, if that just explode for no reason, just explode. I'd be happy if the helicopter just explodes. I felt the same way at the end of the movie. I'm like, you know, if this bus goes over the cliff and they all die, I'll give this movie a pass. But no. Oh, the music is mind-gratingly awful also. And Michael Caine does some of the singing on the soundtrack. It's the great British society. I'm like, oh my God, why? So The Italian Job is right up there with one of the worst films I have ever seen.
Oh, that's awful.
And that's why it stuck out to me
last year. In fairness, if this video that we did last year, I had something that I hated too. So I understand sometimes like that anger thing sits with you. But on a happier note, let's talk about the best thing I saw all year.
Go for it.
The Stanley Cup! I know. It's a TV event.
Okay.
The Blues won the Stanley Cup, guys. For
I
the
did
first
not
time
see
in
that
franchise
coming.
history, the Blues won the Stanley Cup. And not just did they do that, they had the best 2019. And I'm talking from start to finish. Like their entire season.
Is that the St. Louis team?
Oh my, yes, it's the St. Louis Blues. And we've been waiting for over half a century for this. It's never happened. For the first 3 years of that we've been in existence, we made it to the Stanley Cup, or we made it to the playoff, and then nothing. And then we went back and we won, and it took all 7 games, and it was amazing. And I didn't even as we were watching it for the game 7, I was like, nope, because just because you're up by 2, nope. And I didn't believe it, and I had to wait for the countdown to go all the way to 0 before. And Jeremy was like, we just won. I'm like, shut your face hole. We did not win. It's not over because things can happen. No, but in all seriousness, I saved this one to the end because it's just me gushing about the Blues and about St. Louis and about the Stanley Cup. I'm a big sports fan. If you guys didn't know, I'm a huge sports fan. And the Cardinals aren't bringing me anything lately. So, but the Blues, and it was great. But it was, but more than just me being from St. Louis. No, that's actually a big, fat, juicy lie. I'm not from St. Louis at all. I just live here. Anyways, other than me being, it's my team, but it was just the idea of the entire season and that actual Stanley Cup playoff. The 7 games, it was back and forth and back and forth and back and forth until we just won the 7th game. You know, I love it when playoffs go to the 7th game somehow. There's that, like, you know, guy in the back of your head that's like, if they go to the 7th game, that means they're pretty dang evenly matched. Like, if someone wins in 4, then it's like, well, that's the obvious champion. So I can kind of also understand, like, the devil's advocate of that. But it was all 7 games, and it was just like, I've never been so anxious. And then, of course, the parade, you know, they have the Stanley Cup parade when we win, and the thing, or when any team wins, ooh, crowds, whew, anxiety. But
I hear that.
I know, people, man. But the great thing about the parade is that our players walked with the Stanley Cup to the crowd and brought it to the people. You know, every other parade, and I mean this, every other parade, it's floats, the cup is on a float, the players are on a float, and it goes down. Our players didn't do that because it's like, you know, I live in such a sporty city anyways, but anyways, so literally the best thing I saw was the Stanley Cup playoffs. They were amazing. We did win. Made it even more amazing. We get a soccer team in 2022. I'm super excited to become a soccer fan. I'm not yet a soccer fan, but I'm going to be one. So I'm very excited about that. And it's not that I'm not a soccer fan. That makes me feel like I hate soccer. I just don't know soccer. So I'm going to learn it so that I can become a Supers fan. So, I like sports. Ball.
Excellent. Interesting pick. I did not expect that. All right, so I actually just noticed that all 3 of my selections are from different streaming services. So Steamboat Willie is Disney Plus. The Italian Job is Criterion Channel. And my final pick is One Cut of the Dead, which you can watch on Shudder, which is a horror streaming channel. This is a difficult film to talk about. I will endeavor to do so, but it's a difficult film to talk about without spoiling it. So,
what year is One Cut of the Dead? Do you have any?
I think, Americans, unless you went to a film festival, I think, like, this fall is, its premiere on
So it is
services.
new.
Well, I think it came out in Japan in, like, 2016 or 17. So I think it's a couple of years old as to when it was initially released in its home country, but, so if you went to various film festivals, you might have seen it earlier, but if you're an American, you probably did not see it until this fall.
Okay.
So it's fairly new to us Americans. It's on Shudder. It is what I can tell you is it's a bunch of people trying to shoot a zombie movie in some dilapidated high school or someplace out in the middle of nowhere, because they could get in there because they're going to condemn the damn building anyway. So it's like, yeah, shoot your little zombie movie there, and they get attacked by real zombies. And
that's awesome.
One Cut of the Dead refers to the gimmick of the show, which is like 1917 and others. It's done in one take.
Interesting.
So,
like Birdman.
Yeah, like Birdman. Although I hear they actually did manage to do the movie in one take. It took them like 6 tries.
What, Birdman?
No. Birdman is stitched together.
I'm like, I know that.
I don't know this for sure. I heard this. I just heard One Cut of the Dead. Actually, they did manage to get the whole thing in one take. There are some errors. If you can see like Cruz standing in the background in a couple shots, just like off to the side. But apparently, it took them like 6 takes over 2 days, and they actually managed to get it on the 6th try.
Holy crap!
So that's pretty impressive. It's I recommend it. I definitely recommend watching it. It's a very low budget, kind of goofy humored film on purpose. It's going for that people who don't know what they're doing kind of aesthetic. So, some of the framing is odd, and some of the directorial and blocking choices are like, why are they doing that? There's always reasons for it, but the aesthetic of the movie is people who are making a really amateur, low-budget zombie film, and then they get attacked by zombies, and it's done in one take. Ooh, One Cut of the Dead.
Crazy.
What I really like about this movie is I am an absolute mark for films that are about people making movies or putting on plays. So stuff like Noises Off.
Oh, okay.
Or Waiting for Godot.
You like the
or not
play
Waiting
within
for
a
Godot.
play.
What's the Christopher Guest one? Waiting for Guffman. I'm sorry. Waiting for Guffman. Dolomite Is My Name. Bowfinger. Both Eddie Murphy, actually. Those kind of movies they're almost like sports movies. You know, the underdogs getting their crap together long enough to do the thing that they're trying to do. And even though the final result, like the movie they make in Bowfinger or Dolomite, is just awful. It's just an awful, awful movie.
You're so proud of them.
You're so proud of these people for finally getting their crap together to just do something. And One Cut of the Dead is very much like that. You genuinely root for these characters to get over all the problems they will run into to shoot their stupid zombie movie. It is genuinely great. I really, really liked it. It's what I was given kind of a warning about with the amateur aesthetic is if you're not a person who kind of loves that thing, the first 40 minutes of the movie might be kind of hard to sit through. You might be sitting there going, why? I don't get it. Why am I watching this? This is just garbage. If you don't innately have a love of that kind of, it's bad, but I so much admire the enthusiasm and the love that's obviously behind the creators, even though they don't have the skill to match the enthusiasm. I do kind of love that, but I understand that some people don't.
Yeah.
This is a movie where I could totally see people watching the first 20 minutes going, okay, this is great.
Oh, and that's upsetting because...
But I genuinely hope you stick with it because I think you will, there's a really good, everyone's different, but there's a really good chance that once you get past the 40-minute mark or so, you'll start seeing what they're really doing with the movie and you'll go, okay, this is really cool.
That's exciting.
So One Cut of the Dead, it's available at least on Shudder. Don't know anywhere else, but I really recommend it. That's a wonderful movie. I went in knowing almost nothing about it other than the general premise of a low-budget zombie movie in one cut. It's about people making a zombie movie.
Oh, and I love zombies.
I'm like, sure.
Let's do it. Bring it on.
I did not go in knowing that it would be kind of like, Noises Off or Dolomite. It's about people trying to make a movie.
Right.
And I love that stuff.
Yeah,
so One Cut of the Dead,
awesome.
great. So those are the three things we watched in 2019 that stood out to us the most for various reasons. So feel free to litter the comment section with the things you watched in 2019 that stuck out to you the most.
Absolutely.
And we will be back in a year to tell you about the things that we saw in 2020 that stood out to you.
We've already started our list.
That's right. I've got one thing on my list. Yeah, we saw Underwater last night.
We saw Underwater last night.
Yeah.
And we have Once Upon a Time in Hollywood on deck for tonight. We got it from the Red Box.
All right. So, we'll have another video in about a year. Stay tuned.